So, you know how I keep saying that law enforcement has become one big shit show? Yeah, law enforcement has become just a big shit. It's ridiculous what it has become over the last 10 years at least. I could go back probably 15 or 20, but I'll say 10 years. And here's proof. Now I have three different pieces on this, so there's no video. I couldn't find any videos of any of this, probably because it's wrapped lately, but this is where we're at. Fired Marco Island officer heads to trial in Airsoft BB shooting of Lehigh Acres teen. John Derrig had a storied past with Marco Island Police Department with a firing upheld in 2022. This is from January 9th, 2025, so we're at the 11th. 3 days. A former Marco Island police officer whose termination was upheld in 2022 is headed to trial in Lee County accused of firing a toy gun at a child. John Derrig, I guess that's how you pronounce it. That's how I'm pronouncing it. 41 faces one count of aggravated child abuse involving malicious punishment and one count of child abuse. According to court documents of February 5th, 2024, Lee County Sheriff's deputies responded to Derrick's Lehigh Acres home. According to court documents, a teen called 911 and reported Derrig had beaten her before she left home to call for help. Derrig told sheriff's deputies the child was having behavioral issues acting out at home and school. So, a child is having some behavior issues, probably because Derrig is a dickhead. I'm guessing, I don't know if it's her father or what, but so he's just going to shoot at her with a BB gun, and then they're going to play semantics. BB gun, airsoft. Derrig told authorities he initially told the teen to give him all her sneakers and claimed she started to hit him. This is an adult we're talking about. The former Marco Island police officer said he started... No, it'll probably leave off that page. The former Marco Island police officer said she started to hit him and he restrained her. Once restrained, Derrig said the teen started to kick Derrig, who grabbed her and pulled her across the floor. According to authorities, Derrig stated an adult woman in the home started throwing things around the residence, and then the teen punched him in the face. An adult woman in the home started throwing... Okay. When sheriff's deputies spoke with the teen, according to a report, she said she had problems lately with Derrig. She reported Derrig bumped into her when he became upset with her. And that's another thing. They're such on a power trip, and then they'll walk by and they'll like... Looks like a nudge, but they'll intentionally like bump you that way. Gives them when you react, it gives them a reason to never de-escalate. The teenager said she then went into her bedroom and sat on her bed. Derrig pulled her from the bed and placed his knees on her stomach, making it difficult for her to breathe. The report says the teenager's mother entered the bedroom and tried to get Derrig off the victim. Once the teen was freed, she called law enforcement. The report states, well, that's assault and battery. Assault and battery, plain and simple, but only for people, not government. The responding sheriff's deputy noted Derrig did not have injuries or redness in the area he claimed the teen struck him, while the minor had a red mark on her arm. So, he lied. Okay. Shortly after the initial incident, the report states Derrig called the sheriff's office to report the teen's grandmother was trespassing. Authorities said they could not remove her from the home because a resident invited her over. That is correct. Somebody else invited her over. So I'm wondering, what house are they at? Whose house are they at to begin with? But if somebody invites you over and I'm not the homeowner, I can't then tell you to, and I can ask you to leave, but can't make you leave. About a month later, on March 12, 2024, according to the same incident report, sheriff's deputies listened to the 911 audio from the February incident, which according to the report included comments from the teen's grandmother indicating she feared for the teen. And they never do anything quick. This was already a couple months later. According to the report, the teen's grandmother made a comment about the former police officer pointing a gun at the minor. Derrig later made a comment indicating it was an airsoft gun. Doesn't matter. The report states that the grandmother accused Derrig of shooting the teen with a BB gun, to which Derrig later replied, "Everyone was shot with a BB gun. Was shot with BB guns." Now, I don't know, everyone was shot with BB guns. He mean he just shot everyone? Everybody was passing BB gun around? When there were kids that were shot with them? I don't know what context that is, but nearly a month later, on April 5th, 2024, a detective spoke with the teen's grandmother, who said that on February 5th, 2024, when authorities responded to the child's call, she also received a call from the teen who was crying, asking for the woman to pick her up. The grandmother said the teen told her she was afraid she would die because she could not breathe because of Derrick's force. During her conversation with authorities, the grandmother recalled a prior incident where Derrig punished the teen for skipping school, forcing her to pull weeds without gloves. When she did not pull the weeds fast enough, the report says Derrig threatened her with a BB gun and shot her twice, leaving a puncture wound on the teen's thigh. According to the report, Derrig then walked into the house and said, "Wow, I can't believe that this shot that hard." Oh my lord. Sheriff Detective Giorgio Laspia, I'm going to butcher that name anyway, with the Sheriff's Office Special Victims Unit, SVU, received the case April 19, 2024, the same day he searched the home. Laspia retrieved several airsoft guns and BB guns, of which he said matched the teen's claims. Derrig was booked into the Lee County Jail on April 19, 2024, and released 2 days later on a $100,000 bond. Defense questioned Sheriff's Detective. A week before the case is scheduled to go to trial, Derrick's defense attorney, Donald Day, on Tuesday questioned Laspia over what the defense claims are inconsistencies. The motion filed December 11, 2024 claims the misrepresentation of a BB gun and suggests no BB gun was used. When Day questioned Laspia on Tuesday, the sheriff's detective said he seized 2 items that fired, and after a roughly 5-minute exchange with the defense attorney, he alluded to confusing BB gun with airsoft gun. So now we're going to play semantics. Well, you're charging them with shooting a BB gun and they shot an air rifle or air gun, or you're charging them with shooting air gun and BB. Same shit, different damn day. This is how government wiggles their way out of any type of accountability. The adult living in the home with Derrig, who is a teen's mother, according to Day, said nothing was wrong with the case. According to Day, a sheriff's deputy who arrived at the home before Laspia said no crime occurred. Of course, they don't want to say a crime occurred because then they got to do something. No crime occurred. Move along. There was a BB gun used in this case, Day said, alluding to bad faith and a reckless disregard for the truth. Lee Circuit Judge Bruce Kyle, who is set to preside over the case when the trial begins Monday, emphasized the power of modern-day BB guns and airsoft guns is key and added it can take an eye out. Kyle reserved ruling on the motion. John Derrick's second arrest in 2 years. Alrighty. Derrig was arrested January 11th, 2023 on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery. Well, sound like he should have been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery for shooting the child and then putting his knee in her stomach. Anyway, on January 10th, 2023, a woman claimed Derrig grabbed her while she held an infant child and threw her to the ground where she hit her head. When she got up, she said Derrig pushed her against the wall and pointed a gun. John Derrick's mugshot is withheld. Derrick's mugshot is withheld in both the 2023 and 2024 cases. But if it was you or I, our mugshots would be plastered everywhere. The minute they get you in there and take a mugshot, they'll plaster it anywhere. Guilt or innocence be damned. In Florida, arresting law enforcement agencies may choose to release the accused law enforcement officer's mugshot after the accused signs a request. In order to keep the mugshot from being released, officers who are arrested must sign a written request for an exemption. Now, because I did some digging into him, because I figured this bullshit can't be right. This can't be the first time he's done something like that. He is not, and I have his picture. Because when they want to praise them for doing shit, they put their pictures everywhere with their names. Anyway, I found his picture. John Derrick's dark past with Marco Island Police. Mediation records indicate that on the night of May 23rd, 2019, Marco Island Police supervisors determined Derrig failed to respond to medical calls, his fifth within 2 weeks, and ordered that Derrig respond to all future medical calls. Records indicate on that day His patrol car was parked engine idled for 3 hours between May 27th and June 2nd of that year. He failed to act on 4 additional calls. Why? There's no accountability for their actions. They literally, even around here, they sit around and ride around and sit around. You can go by Cookout almost any time of the day, and there'll be 2 or 3 deputies and 3 or 4 city police just sitting there, and then you can go about your day and come back 3 or 4 hours later, and they are still sitting there. It is ridiculous. Then on June 17th of that year, his car was parked for 5 hours, but Derrig did not recall what he was doing during that time. There's a shock. It is not. Nearly 2 weeks later, on June 19th of that year, then Acting Chief Dave Baer opened an internal affairs investigation into Derrick's performance. Well, that'll learn him, won't it? It won't. Current Marco Island Police Chief Tracy Fasano on December 13th, 2019, terminated Derrig, charging him with misconduct, insubordination, noncompliance, and untruthfulness. Records indicate that should be enough to put him on the Brady list. And if they're on the Brady list, which means they are untruthful, they cannot testify in court, but they're going to write tickets, and if you take it to court, then they'll be like, oh, we dismissed your case. They have to dismiss it. These cops can't even go into a courtroom and testify in court because the system knows that they're a big fat liar. Before the 2019 probe, Derrig was fired from Marco Island Police in 2010 and 4 years later reinstated. Alrighty then. You can't make this up. But wait, there's more. So this is upheld in 2022. This is 2025. Marco Island police officer fired for a second time following internal investigation, January 2020. A Marco Island police officer has been fired following an internal investigation, according to Marco Island Police Department Captain David Baer. Officer John Derrig was terminated on January 17th. His charges were sustained for failure to respond to medical calls, untruthfulness during the investigation, failure to follow direct orders from supervisor, and unauthorized use of department time. Unauthorized use of department time? They like to play word games. He had clocked in and was not working. That is theft. He is stealing taxpayer money. Probably a bunch of overtime that he clocked in for and went home. Derrig was placed on administrative leave as part of the investigation back in September, probably paid administrative leave. He also had been previously fired from the department in 2010, but was able to get his job back when he filed a grievance. He filed a grievance, and they're like, you know what, we're not even dealing with this shit. We need to fill some uniforms, give him his job back. Nobody's going to know. This is long forgotten, and we'll move on. And they did. Until recently. Marco Island Police Department says they remain committed to providing for the security and safety of all persons within the city of Marco Island and to holding our officers to the highest level of professional standards. Has anything I have read to you about these bunch of fucking dickheads said anything about highest levels of professional standards? No. They are a drain on the taxpayers. They're a bunch of thugs running around. Most of them got a bunch of tattoos. They never shave. They're used to, back in the day, they were clean shaven. Their hair was tight. They had on uniforms with ties, shoes. I mean, now it's like casual Friday every day. So that's that one. So surely that's all of it, right? Still, we can't. Can we see a picture? Can we see a picture? I'm glad you asked. Sure we can. We can right here. Boom. Check this out. There's a little punk right there. Marco Island police officer fired for inaccurate report about fight with a suspect. But wait, is this current? No, this is how long they've known about this little shit right here. Don't forget, he's 41 now. Published on December 17th, 2010. Well, yeah, that's only 15 years ago. Oh, wait, because the shit in here goes back to 2005. A Marco Island police officer was fired recently after an internal investigation found he filed inaccurate reports after a late-night arrest turned into a brawl at a local restaurant. Officer John Derrig, 27. He's 27 here, now he's 41. Who has a history of having complaints filed against him, also failed to follow his supervisor's orders, according to Marco Island Police internal investigation obtained by the Daily News as a public record request. Derrig was terminated on December 10th. Now I'm going to let you know this article is a little lengthy, so bear with me. His attorney, Russell Kirschy, said he intends to file a grievance with the department at an attempt to get Derrig his job back. This might have been the longer version of the one I read earlier about when he filed a grievance. Anyway, let's see what he did. Derrick's termination stems from an arrest he made of Georgia Canning. I'm going to try and pronounce that. Anyway, on September 28th, and a subsequent complaint filed by this person. In his complaint, the person who was 28 wrote that a little before 2 a.m. on September 28th, he entered the Marco Town Center Plaza to find a friend and give him a ride home. This person entered the Crazy Flamingo restaurant to use the restroom according to the complaint. I entered the restroom, and just seconds after doing so, the bathroom door was forcefully opened, and I was struck in the face and mouth by Officer Derrig. He wrote, what's that guy's name? George. Okay, I'm just going to call this person George. Struck in the face and mouth. George wrote, I was then struck multiple times by closed fists and elbows while bleeding from my mouth profusely. George wrote that a second officer, Kevin Henning, then entered the restaurant and began to attack and assault me as well. At no time did either person identify themselves. Derrig, who had previously arrested George on drug charges, had a different account. They always do. Where's the body cam? He told investigators that he and Henning were parked in their respective vehicles and talking when he noticed the George guy exit a vehicle, approach a closed restaurant, and peer into the windows, according to the reports. So, have you ever gone to a business, thought they were open, and they look like they were closed? So you're like, are they closed? And so you get closer and you kind of put your hands up by your eyes and you peek in. Oh, apparently, that is probably suspicious activity, according to the little punks. Report said he was looking around, his head on a swivel, seeing if we were paying attention to him. Derrig told investigators, really? That's where we're at? You can't make this up. Derrig told investigators he drove toward the George guy and called out his name. George acknowledged Derrig by looking at him and then walked swiftly across the parking lot and into the Crazy Flamingo. Okay, well, maybe he's looking for a bathroom. So he's like, I don't have time for you little shitheads, so I'm going to go about my day. And this little punk didn't like it. Derrig said he entered the restroom about 10 seconds after George and found him kneeling on the ground facing the toilet and garbage can with his sneakers off. Derrig said that the George guy discarded an object in the garbage can. Okay. Derrig told investigators that he didn't knock on the restroom door and did not identify himself as a law enforcement officer. He jumped up and drove his shoulder into my stomach area, pinning me against the wall, Derrig said. Henning entered the restaurant and helped Derrig in the scuffle with George. They eventually handcuffed George and arrested him on one charge, each of battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer with violence, possession of narcotic paraphernalia, and criminal mischief. Derrig said he found 2 oxycodone pills on the floor and an oxycodone vial issued to George and a syringe plunger cover in the garbage. So, narcotics paraphernalia, found 2 oxycodone pills on the floor and an oxycodone vial issued to him. So that tells me he's saying issued. He has a prescription for it. So if he has a prescription for it, it is not, they can call it what they want to. They'll do anything to be able to throw your ass in jail, charge you with a bunch of bullshit, because you're going to have to pay a bunch of money, you had to get a lawyer. It's just never ending cycle for them. If he had a prescription for it, I'm completely missing the point of the issue. Anyway, Derrig said that Henning found a syringe in George's shoe and another officer found a syringe in George's car, but reports say George had a legal prescription for the oxycodone and Derrig failed to connect the syringe to the controlled substance. Why? Because he's a fucking idiot. All they don't look at, now when they're being investigated, they want everybody to look at the totality of circumstances, but they don't want to consider the totality of circumstances. Okay, let me see, we got this guy, we got some pills, we got a syringe. Oh wait, this syringe was issued to him, has his name on it with a barcode and a prescription. Wow, maybe this is all part of the prescription. We're not going to waste our time with that. We're just going to write him up and charge him for everything, and we'll let him hire an attorney and let them figure it out. Charges that Derrig violated departmental policies regarding general authority, use of force, and physical force could not be substantiated and were not sustained by Chief Tom Carr, according to an Internal Affairs file memo. Similar charges against Henning were also not sustained because they never are. There's no, I keep saying it, I feel like a broken record. No accountability. Doesn't matter what they do, and wouldn't matter anyway. You can't sue them. They have immunity. They don't just have limited immunity, they have qualified immunity, which means across the board. However, Carr sustained charges that Henning violated departmental policies regarding truthfulness and report writing and insubordination. Attempts to reach Carr for comment by telephone and email were unsuccessful Friday. That's right, because he does not want to have to answer for anything he has done, no more than did his fucking crooked cops. According to the investigation, Derrig deliberately failed to attach 2 photos of George, including a bloody face photo, to his case file despite instruction to do so by a sergeant. He just don't listen to anybody. Why should he? Because there's no consequences for it. He also failed to utilize a recording device despite previous directions by his sergeant to do so during all investigative contacts. Department policy only suggests using the devices. I just followed the policies and procedures of the police department, Derrig told investigators, adding that his sergeant was not there at the time of the incident. She came afterwards. Of course she did. A fucking DEI. When she tells me to do it, I turn it on. Hold up. He also failed to utilize a recording device despite previous directions by his sergeant to do so during all investigative contacts. Department policy only suggests using the devices. Then he was told to use them, and then when she showed up and told him again, he's like, oh, my bad, I got you. She came afterwards so wait, hold up. I just followed the policies and procedures of the police department. And because it suggests, then you do it. Derrig told investigators, adding that his sergeant was not there at the time of the incident. She came afterwards when she tells me to talk. So wait, every time he goes on a call, he has to wait for a female sergeant to show up and say, baby, turn your recording device. Please give me a fucking break. The investigation also found several discrepancies between the arrest report Derrig wrote and statements he gave to investigators and to his sergeant, including details about his scrap, not he calling it a scrap, with George, how he struck George, where the fight occurred, and how a nearby mirror was damaged. I have taken into consideration the specific direction and orders given to Officer John Derrig by his supervisors, and I find that he has failed repeatedly to repair his conduct and work within the policies and procedures of the Marco Island Police Department, Carr wrote in a memo. It is my belief that he can no longer function as a member of this agency. He can't function hardly as a member of society, much less a member of the agency. Every time he's told to do something, he says, hold my beer. And then they just keep giving him the benefit of the doubt, and then when they're called to the carpet, they're like, no comment. Derrick's personnel file lists several complaints and allegations made against him since he was hired in October of 2005. I told you. Including allegations of harassing people, using inappropriate language around a teenager, and attending a party where some words YouTube don't like, I'll point them, but I won't say them, where occurred while he was on duty. He was reprimanded for failing to appear in court in 2006 and received counseling in 2007 for being involved in a bar fight in Fort Myers. Report said he was defending himself. Of course, because they always say that. I was defending him. Wait, was he on duty? Was he off duty? Oh, well, they're cops 24 hours a day. Well, not according to the sheriff that I just did my last video on, because they said he could carry a weapon as long as he is on duty. Anyway, 2005 occurred while he was on duty. He was reprimanded for failing to appear. Now, if you fail to appear in court, they call your name and they say, we'll call him again in 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes later, they call the roll again, and they're like, one more time. And then 30 minutes later, if you don't answer that by that third time, they put a bench warrant out for your arrest. They come and lock you up, no questions asked. A bench warrant is issued by a judge, and that warrant says, pick this person up. No ifs, ands, or buts. If, ands, or buts, bring this person before me right now. And they will drag your ass in there, but, you know, he didn't show up, so they're like, can you try to get here next time? And then counseling. You can't make this up. Counseling in 2007. So, He's still in his 20s. One document describes Derrig as a heavy-handed young officer that does not know how to talk to people. Well, most young men don't. That's why you can be in North Carolina. Here's how funny it is. You can go through basic law enforcement training at 20. You cannot legally buy a firearm until you're 21. So the ones that went through the BLET training that were 20 had mommy and daddy buy them a gun, and they gifted it to them so they could use it in BLET training because they're not even old enough to buy a firearm. Please give me a fucking break. But upon 21, because everybody knows 21-year-olds have the best judgment, let's give them a gun so they can just shoot every fucking body. It is ridiculous. The most serious allegation found in the personnel file was made in 2008 by a female acquaintance who claimed Derrig, again, some words, on 2 occasions, including once when she was intoxicated and passed out at his home. The Lee County Sheriff's Office closed its investigation due to lack of evidence because the complaint was filed years after the fact. Years after the fact. Okay. This is a typical, well, you should have came forward sooner, or when she probably mentioned it, they're like, well, we need some more evidence, and then time went on, and by the time it was one thing after another. Well, now it's too late, and they knew about him. They didn't care. In 2007, Derrig was a recipient of a Phoenix Award, which is given to Collier emergency responders who save a life. He was also named Officer of the Month on at least 2 occasions by the Marco Police Foundation in 2006 and 2007, according to the Daily News records. Now we know in 2005 he already had issues, but hey, let's give him some Officer of the Month. Kersley said he hopes Derrick's termination was not based on past allegations. Is there some previous allegations that we don't know about that we might hope his termination would depend on? Past allegations, the problem is they say, well, we have to go back and find case law. We have to go back and find, I can't think of what I'm looking for. Anyway, precedents. There's no precedent set that made it case law, and the problem is that they won't bring shit against them. If you bring enough shit against bad cops, it will create a precedence, and the precedents it'll become case law, and then they can go, when new shit happens, they can go back and say, well, this precedent was set, and here's the case law for it, so this is what we're hinging our case on. They won't do that. They will not do that because somebody might have to be held accountable. Certainly, I think people are supposed to be judged. They do not. Certainly, I think people are supposed to be judged on what you did, not on your alleged history or anything like that. Kershey said, I'm going to assume that this is just from his situation. It doesn't have anything to do with things in the past. Things in the past. That's the problem. That's how your past come back to haunt you, not if you're in law enforcement, because they won't use any of that against you. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. This one here. Anyway, let me know what you think about it. Like, share, subscribe. You can't get rid of them. This one's going back 2005. That's so now, 20 years ago. And here he still is, and probably another 5 years he'll retire. Draw his 75% pay with all kind of accoutrements added to it. Just more proof that you can't get rid of them. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. I am out.